it's not, no. Oh my
Our
God.
mics are on, but we're not live yet.
Oh, not yet? No. Oh, there we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's budget workshop. The date is August 18th. The time is 10:08, and I will now call this workshop to order. We're going to start with the invocation by Pastor David Kimberly with West Main Baptist Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Dawes, can you please lead us in the pledge? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It is good to be with you. Thank you for allowing me this week to be part of this workshop with you and to pray for you. And I want you to be assured that I'll continue to do that. I appreciate that. I was reading something I thought was interesting. I thought maybe it might be interesting to you because it touches on this thing that we've been talking about the last couple of days, and that's working with each other and loving one another and being able to assume our responsibilities and take that next step. With this being football season, all of you are Coyote fans, right? Go Coyotes, that's right. We want them to go, that's for sure. And I don't know if any of you are Dallas fans, Dallas Cowboy fans. You know, I don't know of any other team that's plays but Dallas Cowboys, you know. But I found this, it's goes back a little ways, more than any of it, more than we all are years old. And it was on one of the most famous plays in football history. Happened on New Year's Day in the 1929 Rose Bowl. Georgia Tech was playing the University of California, and a player for California by the name of Roy Riegels recovered a fumble, but somehow he got turned around and was running towards the wrong way, running towards the wrong goal, ran over 60 yards, and when a teammate by the name of Benny Loam caught Riegels and tackled him just before he went over the goal line. As a few plays later, California was backed up into their end zone, and they had to punt, and the punt was blocked, leading to a 2-point score there at the goal line, and or there at the goal, and for safety. Those 2 points eventually were the difference in the game being won by Georgia Tech. At halftime, when they went into the locker room, Roy went over and sat down by the locker by himself, got a blanket, pulled it over his head and around his shoulders, and wept like a baby. The locker room was unusually quiet, and just about the time that halftime was over, the coach told Nibs Price told the team that played the first half was going to go back in on the second half. They all got up and went except for Roy. He sat right there, and everybody left except him. And Coach went over and said, "Roy, didn't you hear what I said? The first team is going to go back in and play." Tears streaming down his face, he said, "Coach, I can't do that to save my life. I've ruined you. I've ruined the University of California. I've ruined myself. I couldn't face the crowd in the stadium to save my life." Coach Price put his hand on Riegel's shoulder and said, "Roy, get up, go back. The game is half over." I understand that this is the beginning of the workshop. You've got a workshop continuing on for a while. I don't know how long, but however long it takes to get the work done. But I want to say to you, the game's only half over. We're going to go back in. You go back to your places of responsibility each afternoon or before you go home, most likely, and you go back in and see what's going on in business or whatever, family. But the game is only half over. Fortunately, we might say, you know, the week has been a difficult week. Maybe it's been the biggest waste of time I've ever been a part of. Having been a Baptist pastor as long as I have, I've gone to more meetings than former President Carter had peanuts in the field. And it seemed like that they were always to me, a waste of time because it was just simply things that I already knew. But yet I found out that it wasn't, because I always learned something and realized that my life was only half over. I like the way that Jesus puts it in Scripture. He says in Matthew 19, verse 26, what seems impossible of us doing anything constructive, what seems impossible for us, is possible with God. Whatever you have accomplished this week, God will help you carry it through. Because as I pray for you, I pray that God keeps on our heart the people of our community, because it's the people that are important. God called us to serve. God has blessed me with the privilege of serving a good people. He's blessed me with the privilege of living right now in Alice, Texas, and serving with a great group of folks like yourself. I'm so grateful that you give me a privilege of being part of your lives. My prayer is that God will bless you and God will keep you as you realize that what has been accomplished, it'll be carried out as you go back into the field, into carrying on the rest of your life. Remember, the game's only half over. Let's pray. Father, thank you for this group of folks that make up our city council. I pray, Father, for each individual on this team. Father, sometimes it seems like we're running the wrong way. It seems like we're going to score for the other team. But Lord, you stop us and you turn us around so that we're going in the right direction. My prayer is that all that has been accomplished these last couple of days, today and Father, next week, will bring honor and glory to you. That these folks sitting around in this room will not only feel privileged and honored that they've been elected and appointed to these various positions, but also that they've accomplished something that will bring glory to you, helping us as a city become more of the city of love, a city that cares about each other, a city that cares how we move forward with integrity, with hard work, with consistency. Lord, as we consider each other, as we pray for one another, as we learn to love one another in a greater and perhaps in a different way, to move closer to what you want us to accomplish and to achieve that for your glory. And Lord, we're going to praise you for it and say thank you in Jesus' sweet name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, folks. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
So much. Okay, at this time, agenda item number 2, citizen comments and public announcements. And we have no citizen comments. Announcements, Ms. Carrasco?
Christmas.
Okay, Ms. Garza?
No.
Mr. Britton can start with you.
Yeah, well first, before I make this announcement that this gentleman dropped off, I personally want to thank Pastor Kimberly for coming in. These specialized meetings that we have offer a little bit more leadway, and the fact that he offered up some mini devotionals is quite nice. It really, all three that he's done this week resonate well in what we're trying to do here. We just need to remember Scripture and remember the purpose for these meetings, and remember that we're up here trying to do our best for the citizens as well. And there's no one avenue to get the answers. There's a lot of roads that we're going to have to travel, and if we can just remember some of the words that were presented before us right there on that podium by Pastor Kimberly, I think we'll do well for the community. Second one was, we had a gentleman stop by. I did not personally get to talk to him, but he wanted us to announce Mr. Maldonado. He's with a company called Tegra XL. They are a Dallas-based company, but they are hiring locally. They need 50 CDL drivers ASAP. Now, not having talked to him, I don't know how much information that he wanted to give out, but the company's name is Tegra XL, TEGRAEXCEL Energy Services. We will have some of the information here. I imagine we could put a card up or something here, but then again, you can also probably just Google it and find a way to contact them. 50 drivers ASAP. So,
He's local.
Yeah.
They actually are
So
going
that's-
to open here in Alice.
okay, great. Yes, and I figured that would be the thing here, but he gave us an address as well. I don't know if it's his personal address or a business address. He gave us a phone number as well, and I don't know if that's his personal phone number or business phone number. So I would say Google it. That's 50 positions opening immediately. So get out there and get after it.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Ms. Moran?
Yes, I'd just like to say that as we end our third day of workshop meetings, I want to thank Pastor for his sermons this week. I do think that they apply to what we are doing here. All of us have been working hard together aggressively to try to meet the goals of improving the processes and services that we offer. With the, given the decline in tax revenue that we've received, it's not an easy job, but we all have the same goal. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, staff. We have a great dedicated staff that's been working with us all week.
Thank you, Ms. Moran. Okay. At this time, I put up my agenda. Thank you. Agenda item number 3, review and discussion of the 2016-2017 fiscal year revised city budget and 2017 and 2018 fiscal year proposed City of Alice budget. And today we'll be meeting with finance first and then public works.
Okay, do you want to do finance first? Or
It's-
we have
or-
public works here.
Okay,
Yeah.
if you prefer, let's get them and then that way they can go on. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor, Council.
Good morning, Victor. Do you all know the page?
Okay,
We could start.
The company you're talking about moved into the corner of 281 and Commerce.
Yes.
Okay, that's the address he had on the paper, but I didn't want to put it out there. I didn't want to put it out there in case that was his personal
So I've
address.
seen it moved in about a week
It's a
ago, and
business,
there's a
uh-huh.
lot of
Good morning.
Okay, so to say that again, that Tegra Excel is now at Commerce and 281. Is that the NLB building?
It's
Across.
2500.
Across the street.
2500 North US Highway 281.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Victor.
Now people can find it. Very good.
What page, Vanessa?
Vic, did you want to start with streets?
We'll start with garage first.
Garage, okay. Garage is going to be on page 61.
We'll start with page 60 and go over 61.
Oh,
They like-
60.
They like to go over the,
Okay.
I think our
I
pages
think yours-
are one.
One's
Oh,
off for
yes.
you.
Okay.
It's 61.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So 61 is ours. I think y'all's bound
I
differently.
think that one was the first copy.
We got it though, Mr.
Okay,
Chris.
fine.
Every time you were saying one page behind, we were one page ahead.
I
could find it.
Remember to add one.
Yes,
One.
sir. Okay,
Okay.
so
Page
557 garage. Here you go, thank you.
Yes. We have the Assistant Public Works Director of Operations. We have the lead mechanic, 5 mechanics, 1 welder mechanic, and 1 clerk. Are there any changes on this, Victor? I don't know if you can speak on behalf of, no? So everything is as stated on there.
And all are filled and funded? All positions are filled and funded?
So 9 total, right, Victor?
Okay, on the following page. Do we go by sections?
Yes, sir. Sections work.
Okay. Personnel services, we adopted in 2017, 482,881. We revised that to 477,993. We're requesting 476,799 for a decrease of $6,082.
Okay, council, any questions on personnel services? No? Okay,
That I do
Yes, sir.
real quick. This is comprised of, I'm sorry, I'm catching up again, sorry, I was reading something else at the same time. So, 5 mechanics and 1 lead mechanic. And our mechanics are certified mechanics out there as well?
No, we don't require certifications.
No certifications required? Okay. That was the gist of it.
We work on so many different pieces of equipment that it's very hard to certify somebody just on, for example, most of your dealerships are certified where they work specially just on one piece of equipment. On Ford, we work on so many different pieces of equipment.
That when it requires specialty, we send it off.
We have approximately 156 trucks and equipment, large equipment that we work on. And we have approximately about 140 some out small equipment, your lawnmowers, chainsaws, stripers, and stuff like that. So we do take care of a lot of equipment.
And small too.
It's small.
Victor, if you have 5 mechanics there, why do y'all send trucks out to private?
Because there's a large amount of equipment that we have, and also this equipment needs to be done like today, like police cars, fire trucks, garbage trucks, and we don't have the amount of mechanics to work on some of these pieces of equipment. So we have to farm out some of the repairs. And a lot of these equipment are new, a lot of technology to them, different computers. I mean, we have so many different types of equipment, from International to Caterpillars to Ford tractors, old tractors. I mean, there's so much and it has to be done quick. They can get back on the road.
Because I went to pick up my car last Friday, and I saw that they had a city truck there and across the street on 281, a smaller truck. And I said, what are they doing over here, you know?
What was that at?
Can I say it? On 281 South.
At the large truck shop?
The one that was, it was just like a small pickup. I don't know what kind it was. It was small.
Unless they might have been picking up parts also. See that?
No, because the mechanic that I took my car to works on your city vehicles also.
It's probably getting worked on.
Any other questions, council, on personnel services? Mr. Ramos, I have a question. Can you explain insurance? And if you want me to address this with finance, I probably should. Let's move on. I'm sorry. We'll address it with finance. Thank you.
Materials and supplies, we adopted 17,400, revised it to 21,500, and that's an increase of 5,300. And looks like the majority of that is repair and maintenance. 4,500 repair and maintenance.
Okay, council, any questions? No questions? Okay, purchase property services.
Okay, we adopted 20,619 in 2017. We revised it to 29,875. And the requested is 23,800. It's an increase of 3,181. We had a reduction in gas and electricity, vehicle repair and maintenance had a reduction of 5,119. And then we had an increase in equipment hire and rentals, and another one in building repair and maintenance actually, and then equipment hire and rentals. There's 2 increases there that offset the reduction.
Can you tell me what the cleaning service is, Victor, out there? What?
Well, someone could be your parts washers that we use at the shop, where they come in and not the wash salt, but they have a different chemical that we use to wash parts.
So we hire out that?
Yes, we
like,
have
power washer
contract
company?
people that come in and take the
Those are
No.
yeah,
Shop
that,
towels.
the 5460, the cleaning services,
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
for service of the towels,
Oh.
soap, soap refills, things like that. That's what.
That's what's hitting that line item.
I wonder why we don't put that up on materials and supplies.
Because that'll go to the janitorial supplies in the fiscal rate.
Okay.
Well, yeah, we'll fix that.
Okay. Okay. Any
Yeah.
questions, Kim?
And that is a Bright Star service, that's,
Okay.
The shop towels?
It's Bright Star.
They
Yes.
provide shop house.
Renting,
Okay.
you rent them.
Mhm. Any other questions, council? No questions? Okay, move on to other purchase property.
Other purchase property, we adopted to 7,000, we revised it to 7,000, and the requested amount is 7,000, so there's no change there. And all of that goes to communications up at the top, to 5,500.
Does everybody out there have a phone or what?
No, I think they have, that's their internet.
That's internet and telephone, cell phone service. Cell phone, telephone, and internet service.
Who has cell phones, Victor?
Myself and the person that's on call.
So just 2 cell phones? Okay. That's a lot, right?
Communications
You said-
then encompasses the
In-
cell phones
And internet?
and the
And then,
internet.
and then they have a telephone,
And then a
like a
landline.
landline
A landline.
out there.
Okay.
That's
That's a lot, right?
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Have we explored,
That's almost
Is
$600
that
a
with
month.
Jim, where he's looking
Mhm.
at trying to reduce? Oh, okay.
Because also if he gets with G-Tech, I think he can get rid of some of that,
The extra
Foremost.
lines?
Yeah, and I think Foremost is who we're, currently with, so.
Yes.
Okay.
And we also have a landline for our gas pumps.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So there's 2.
Tax line, gas pumps, and regular phone.
Okay.
let's look at bringing that 7,000 down.
Yeah.
Pretty straight for
high.
communications.
Are
For a
we-
small department that doesn't really need.
Yeah.
What do they need to use the internet? I'm sorry. What do they use the internet for? Because that's probably a huge chunk of it.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Well, for parts, sort
So
of.
the order and stuff like
To
that.
order.
we order
Research and
parts,
order.
yeah, email.
Mhm.
and-
Oh, for Outlook, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I have some ideas on the internet, how we
Yeah.
can.
Do we all have different, like every department has different, or is it under one umbrella?
We're all
The whole-
under, we all pay, I think our contract is with Foremost,
Okay.
and,
That's actually,
It's expired.
it's already expired contract,
it's
so-
expired, so that's why Jim's trying to.
To shop around?
Mhm.
Okay.
But each building gets charged, separately.
Yeah.
There's other ways around it.
Yeah,
But
I was
when we
gonna
get to,
say.
when we get to IT, I'll address that with
Okay,
you.
good.
Yeah, let's really look at that. I don't see why we should be charged separately per building.
Well, also, I
Well,
believe
bills
some,
separate.
certain ones require more,
Bandwidth.
yeah, and, I think like police and fire, sometimes they
That I
have to
can
have,
understand.
yeah.
Because communication accounts for, oh, I mean, I figured 130,448, give or take, just a rough, so, yeah. But I think too, when we separate like cell phone, I really, really
Yes,
am
that's something we're
am
working
anxious to
on.
see that.
Yeah, I see internet.
Because we have internet and then cell phone and then landlines, and they're all different,
Right.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
were
vendors.
planning on separating out the internet and the phones, the telephone service.
Yes.
Yes.
We kind of went back and forth about the cell phone service, but we can always add that line.
Yeah, I
for-
think cell phone
for
should be all by
the-
itself.
Okay.
We can do that.
Because you can shop that. Well, you can shop anything these days. Okay, council, any other questions? No? Okay, on to the next. Professional technical.
Professional technical service. We adopted 1,948, we revised it to 5,960, and we're requesting 6,125. That's an increase of 4,177. And it looks like the bulk of that is 5630, other professional.
So what is that?
Yes.
That's a AOC for,
AARC.
was required, the last 2 years it came up, we're required by
Stormwater
TCEQ, to have stormwater. And we monitor it, and that company comes in, monitor. Every time it rains, we gotta get they come in, or we get a sample and send it out for basically non-contaminate, the yard,
Is this every time it rains or how often or what?
every time it rains.
Every time it
And
rains.
then we have an inspection every 3
I
months.
think every,
You have,
is it
you have
every
to do
quarter
a
or every
weekly
month?
inspection, a monthly, and
So why is this in
term
garage?
residence.
Because they go and test at their,
At their facility to see if their fuel, their cleaning
Yeah.
supply, those
Anything
because
is
y'all have those
leaking.
chemical circulating cleaners, right? So
Most
stuff like
facilities-
that.
Hydraulic leaks on
Oil,
trucks.
yeah,
Oil.
hydraulics, stuff like that.
most facilities have to have one.
Yeah.
But what is The purpose, I understand, but
They do it at the
who's
airport
doing-
also,
Who's
and
doing this?
Yeah,
We have an
wastewater
individual. What's
does
the
it.
cost specific?
Airport,
Break it out.
landfill.
Lab.
you'll
Is
see it
this
in each of those departments.
I think
Uh,
her question is is this for lab testing or?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
No.
That's-
What's the professional service?
Right.
I
It's
see
an
what-
inspection.
What being done,
Right.
It's a
but
quarterly
is,
inspection for $450 every quarter. And then they also have a permit renewal, analytical monitoring for sampling, and then a prevention training, water pollution prevention training. That's what's made up for this fiscal year.
and this is a TCEQ professional doing
Requirement.
coming down?
Requirement.
Oh, it's a requirement, but it's not a,
It's AARC.
AARC.
That's a company that does it.
That's a
yeah.
company.
okay, so
who
it's a
does it.
company, that's what I meant.
That does it, but TEC.
It's required by the
Requires
TCEQ.
it.
Right, it's a mandate
But I think your question
from
was who does it?
TCEQ.
Right,
Okay.
AARC.
We
Okay.
have it under professional, so.
Yep. Okay, and your technical, Victor, where does that come from? It's 1,500.
5640.
The girls are gonna check. They're all different with each department too, so I have to check too.
This is one of those.
That is a annual maintenance agreement, software updates.
Oh, for their
Okay.
garage. Mm-hmm.
The RTA.
What software is that?
We keep all the information on all the vehicles. Every vehicle that comes in, we do a work order, we charge the parts. Every vehicle, we can go back, who worked on it, how much was charged on it, how much repairs
So
and
you
stuff. So
keep
we
a historical
capture,
data of.
all the history of the vehicle.
Great, that's good.
So you can go back as far as starts from the beginning of the vehicle, we bought it until
So you'll be
it gets
able to
out.
provide us with that type of data when we request, you know,
Yes,
what,
in any
what,
vehicle, in any vehicle. any
how many
piece of equipment.
vehicles we're servicing, what are we doing? We can
Keeps up
determine.
with, we send the departments every month when the vehicles are due for service.
Mhm.
Okay. Council, any other questions for garage? No? All right. Moving on to,
Which one did you want to do next, Victor?
No,
Do you
no
want to
more
do,
sanitation.
you want to go to sanitation?
So the bulk of garages and salaries. Who is your assistant public works director?
We don't, I'm the assistant. When I first started here, give you a little bit of history. We used to be 6 of us. We had a director, assistant director, sanitation superintendent, landfill superintendent, street superintendent, and garage superintendent. Now we're down to 2. I'm the assistant, and he's the superintendent.
And what happened to the other four? They've just been done away with.
Cutting back. We haven't had a public works director in years. We did not fund the street superintendent this year. So it's 2 of us for only 60+ employees.
Sanitation will start on page 94.
So they took the public works director salary and split it into 2 assistant public works directors? Or what?
I'm basically, my salary is basically from the garage, being a garage superintendent. And I get a little increase, part of it from being the assistant.
Victor, does Elma do her work there or she sends it off?
But she does her work there.
She does. She doesn't send it on to somebody else.
No.
94. Page 94, sanitation collection, 555.
Yes, we have the municipal solid waste superintendent, 1 clerk, 1 crew leader, 2 equipment operator number 3s, 11 equipment operator number 2s, 4 maintenance workers, and 1 equipment operator for a total of 21 employees. Is that correct, Victor?
Yes.
No changes on that?
The crew leader is also an equipment operator 3. Basically, he is the relief for anybody that's missing,
And
whether it be myself or the guy that's picking up trash on the back of a truck.
Okay. And there's no proposed changes, it's staying as is.
Not at this time, not that I know of.
Do we have that, does that mean that we have one equipment operator, two unfunded?
Yes,
I noted.
Right.
Is that what it is?
yes, sir, for this year.
And it's just just one?
Just one that's being unfunded. That's a carryover also from last year. I believe the year before that, we had also lost another one.
So 21 positions under sanitation collection, is that
Correct.
correct? 21. Okay, this is
Right here is unfunded.
our garbage collection, right?
Yes,
As a-
garbage and
Garbage
brush.
and brush.
Garbage and brush. And we pick up twice a week
Yes, ma'am.
garbage. And we have one truck that requires two people.
3 people, a driver and 2 people on the back.
In the back.
We have 2 of those.
2 trucks
On
like
a
that?
daily basis, we run 2 of those and 2 automated trucks that, with 1 person we can handle
So 4 trucks total.
on any given day.
Are there any streets, I'm sorry, that are being, cause I've seen it where they're picked up in the alley and then also in the front?
We have a lot of that.
Mhm.
That's also historical. We had an administrator come in from out of town that decided that everybody should be placed in the front, including their brush. And of course, our public is not gonna go for that. So a statement was made here in council that the townspeople would put their container wherever they wanted and we'd pick it up. So we would like to correct that, but we need the backing of the council.
Okay, you want it in the
In
front?
Whether they're in the
Just in
street
one
or in the
place or
alley.
another.
Either alley or front?
Yeah,
which
we've
makes
asked
sense.
prior administration about, we're having to pick up in the front and then,
Go back to the street.
and then go
pick up.
back to the,
That's
How much would that?
That's too much.
I'm sure that this has already crossed your mind. How much would designating a specific place actually save the city in time and because it does take time. Basically, you're making the route twice.
Exactly.
it will
So-
give us a little bit more time, Councilman, to do more brush pickup. Instead of getting behind brush pickup, it'll give us some of this, operators can be used to brush pickup. But
What?
just will save time.
How do y'all feel about once a week pickup of
We-
trash?
We talked about it, Mayor. We talked to the past administration with the city manager about it. It's a savings, it's a little longer because a lot of them have 2 containers right now that are being picked up twice a week. We're probably gonna have to buy quite a bit of.
Additional containers.
Additional containers. And I think we have approximately, 6,000 accounts?
We need at least 6,000 containers to go to once a week.
Yeah.
Okay, and
They're around
why is that?
$40.
So that everybody has 2?
Well, those that request,
And they pay.
other
They pay
cities
for
that
it?
do it, yeah.
But they pay for it.
Right.
Well,
Should, as a city, we provide one, and if the citizen wants another, they pay for
that
another?
would be
Yes,
correct,
for the
Right.
extra one.
if they require one,
Right.
If they
They would
require
ask for
one
it.
or request one.
if they request one.
Yeah,
I would say if they
Well,
request, then they
let's
charge.
use both. Let's use both. If they request one, they would pay. If they require both,
What would
because
be
a lot of people
required?
want.
Who requires 2?
Makes sense.
We have some houses that have up to 10 and 12 people living in one house.
Mm-hmm.
So they would need more than one, or else they're just gonna have spillage and over.
Well, I would think that it wouldn't be the city's position to see who requires and who
Correct.
doesn't. I think it would be a request from the
Right.
citizen and therefore have to pay for that extra. Because
Right.
it's, it's not fair to the family that
'Cause they have
doesn't
12.
have 10, 10, that has 1, that we pay
Well,
for that.
and exactly, and right now our ordinance reads that if you're required, if you have more trash than you have capacity for,
Mm-hmm.
then the city can come in and say, hey, you know what, you're making a mess.
Yeah.
But we
have
do
to-
charge them.
But we would
Yes,
require it,
they
yeah.
would.
And
They
it would be
have to pay
charged.
for it.
Do we do it now or no?
We don't have
No.
that difficulty right now.
Okay.
Because of
Usually we rely more on education. If you have a twice a week pickup,
Right.
don't try to overload it on one day, save some for the following day, and usually that'll even up.
How do y'all feel that would, because Corpus Christi does once a week.
Correct.
Do you feel that would alleviate our budget?
Well,
Money
I had that
or-
I had that conversation with Mr. Sand. We're trying to quantify it and put a number to it and see what kind of savings we're,
Right.
it'll save in fuel.
Absolutely, wear and tear on the
wear and tear on the
vehicles.
vehicles.
And then we could,
You gotta remember something, that
Yes.
we're still gonna pick up the same amount of
correct,
Garbage.
correct.
So it's not garbage, but what we're talking
No,
about
wear and
is
tear,
is wear and tear
manpower,
time Because the same employee that does the route twice in a week is now doing it once in a week, so there's a lot of savings there.
So
Now-
instead of picking up 1,000 houses, you might have to pick up 500 houses.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's how, because it's more.
Yes,
more
so the time is cut.
So my question though is what are we billing right now for that? I mean, because it's added to your water bill, right?
The residential fee is $15.50 plus tax.
See, because I mean, honestly, I kind of don't feel like we can keep it at the same. I don't know. You have to tell me. Keep it at the same rate if you reduce the amount of coverage.
You have the purchase.
Well,
Do you understand what I'm saying there? Like, I mean, are we cheap?
we're actually doing very well by our residents.
Okay.
Most cities around us are in the $20 range, 20 to 25.
Yes.
25, I can tell you where I am is $25.
Actually.
And
And
some
that's
of
a
them-
twice or once.
Twice.
Some of them are ones.
This is
some of
actually
them-
very
Once
cheap.
summer, once and summer twice.
This is a very
So
good
this is
rate.
more like
And
a
what are
rate
we-
that would be a one time a week pickup
I would say yes.
for in surrounding areas. Does anybody have an idea of what Corpus bills because they go one time pickup?
Yeah.
Give me a second.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if we're gonna reduce services, I understand that we're trying to balance a budget here, but we can't.
$16.91.
Huh?
$16.91 for quarters.
So they're actually even
So
more,
they're a little
and they're
more.
only doing one pickup also.
Correct.
So, you know, I just don't wanna go in and start cutting services without
No.
justifying it to the
Correct.
citizens, you know, hey, you're only getting one, but you're gonna be paying the same or whatever, but, you know, we need to get everything out there.
But it is a trade-off,
It is.
since we did not increase taxes.
That's right, we have to.
We do have to
Yeah.
look
Yes.
elsewhere.
Yep.
And these are
Whether
those
it's a
things.
nominal increase, but we do need to look at that.
That's right.
Plus, you also need to look at, it will require additional containers
If you go to once a week.
if we go to
Yeah.
once a week, so we need to
But
take
they're
that
gonna
into
pay for it.
consideration and allocate that cost.
Well, they'll pay for it.
How many
but
containers
this
do we
is-
have now,
We
though?
still have to consider the cost.
Out in the field,
Yeah.
There's 6,000
An
accounts.
additional
Wow.
6,000.
But some will
accounts,
have
so-
two.
Okay, but you said we're gonna need an additional 6,000 containers?
No,
Yes.
if they
Yes.
request them.
if they request them.
Yeah, it's not a
Okay.
given. If they
But-
Oh,
request.
okay, I thought you meant.
And then they pay for
The
it.
thing about the containers is, if you buy 200 at a time, they run $56. If you buy
Yes.
300,
Bulk.
Correct.
there's $52 off.
Right.
You keep them on stockpile.
If you buy everything at once, you're gonna be in the $40 range.
So
How
you're-
many do y'all already service with two?
I couldn't give you that
Can't
number
tell
off
me,
the top of
okay.
my head. No.
Okay.
We could get that probably from the billing office.
Yes, they should be able to run.
Because that might be one of those where we can, you know,
And what is the second,
The other question would be how many are actually paying for it?
right?
What do you mean?
Yes.
that they might have a second one, but
They're
they're
not
not
paying
paying
for
for
it.
it?
We
Why
have-
not?
We have some that have traveled, as people move in and out of houses, they travel.
Sometimes a customer will close an account, or will leave a house, not close their water account, and they'll leave the garbage containers there, somebody new will move in, and the previous resident had 2 garbage containers. Now this new person comes and says, I only have one at my residence, it stays there, or they hide it in the back, or whatever the case may be.
Or they take it with them to their new
Or they
residence?
take it with them to the next
And,
place.
We,
they move
we
to.
do periodic roundups around the county.
The county would pick up quite a bit on the county.
I know y'all pick them up pretty well because mine got stolen and I called in and 3 days later it was back. I was like, dang it, I needed a new one that had a lid on it.
I hate that military mom. Yeah,
I'm
so
not gonna
that's.
tell you my story about the container.
So we need to do an analysis on this
Yeah.
because another option is to leave it at the 2 days, increase the rate.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta have the trade-off.
So if there's a trade-off, or leave it to once a
Yeah,
week
I-
and leave the rate.
I would entertain the other idea we
Absolutely.
talked about versus increasing rate right now.
What does the second container actually cost somebody?
They're all $15.50.
So it's $15.50 regardless if
If
it's
you need one, if
per
you need
container.
2, it's $15.50 per
Okay.
container.
So
You
if
can
I
have
call you
4
and tell you I want a container, you're gonna charge me
An additional
An
50.
additional.
50, that's it?
And some
Well,
cities.
an additional.
Okay.
So if you have 2 containers, you're paying 31.
31.
If you have 3,
31.
it's gonna be, what, 45?
And some
or
cities
45.
have one container at a set fee. If you ask for an additional, then that cost is not
It's different.
equal. It's gonna be.
Yeah, because they're not making the route twice. I kind of feel like.
They're not making it
Correct, but that
twice.
garbage has to go into the same landfill.
Yeah, but, so if, I mean, something to consider is.
You're right, and the way it is, it's $25 or $10 extra for an extra container.
Yes, that's how we should be looking at this,
Yes.
guys. $25.
Well, especially if we reduce the amount of circulation.
San Diego, I believe, is at 25,
Right.
and then $10 for an
$10
extra container.
Right.
Well, if we're getting a head shake from the expert, explain it to us. please.
Well, instead of raising the fee,
Mhm.
just if you require an additional container,
You pay for it, yeah.
Yeah,
you pay for it.
but
Not $10 either.
No,
You pay.
you pay for the
You pay for
container.
the garbage pickup and you pay for the garbage disposal.
if you cut back to one, likelihood is you're gonna need two.
Right,
And,
Not everybody.
not everybody.
not everyone, but you have to
You
have
will
some
have some people.
structure where you need to know what you can't, well, maybe if you require one, that we can't have that
Our
revenue
Our rates are also based on
accurately
a study
figured
done
into
by
our
an
budget.
engineering firm 4 years ago. So it's not just a number that we pulled up out of
Right,
out of
right,
the air.
what I'm
It's-
saying is.
Because our population has gone down too. So,
Yes.
and if a city like Corpus Christi can do once a week, I'm sure Alice can do once a week since we didn't go up on taxes. That's the give and take.
I think what.
If you require an extra, you pay for it. How much does a container cost the city? I understand the whole, if so many, do you have an approximate, like how much one container would cost the city?
One container,
Uh-huh.
50 plus.
50.
50
5
plus.
0, not
56.
1550.
56.
56. That's why I'm saying that we charge 1550 if they want an extra container, but the city's paying $56.
How much does it cost us?
Right.
No.
Yeah, the
But
Purchase
container.
the container?
Yes.
To purchase containers.
But the
Like when you buy
1550
them
isn't
from-
just the
Like when you
container, it's
buy-
the service to
When
haul
you
off
buy
and
them
put
container.
trash in.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm talking
Like I
about.
said, if you
That's
purchase
the-
200,
The bulk of it.
Yes.
it's at about 56, 300, it comes down a couple of dollars and.
So see, it's
Oh, the more that you buy,
$50.
it's
Yeah,
a
about
sliding
$50
scale.
for the container. But yet we only charge them the $1550 additional, and we don't
For-
charge them for the
For the
container.
disposal, for the pickup, for the
Right.
disposal.
Mind you, the container might disappear, might be gone, so we don't ever recover that $53
And they're numbered and coded too, though,
because we're
correct?
just charging the extra service. Do y'all understand what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yes,
Like,
but-
if the container leaves, then we're out $56.
Yeah, but that cost, that $56, but it costs the city to purchase a container is like in a bulk for what, how many?
200.
200.
200, and we keep those, do we buy annually?
We purchased annually.
Annually, so then we divide the 1550 per household, so.
But the $1550, we're paying for the service, so we're paying for the personnel, we're paying for the gas, we're paying for the wear and tear on the
So-
vehicles. That doesn't cover the
Landfill
cost of the
use.
container. It's just business 101.
Right.
If you buy inventory, you gotta
Yes,
pay
but
for it.
that's not how city services work. Cities don't do that. You don't charge $56 to the customer in their services to
For the
make up.
addition-
We have a local
container.
city, an area city that if your container comes up missing,
You pay
That's
for it.
they
different.
charge you $96.
Yeah, that's different, that's a
Yeah.
different type of fee.
But this is where I'm talking about the extra container. Not the one that we all get. Being citizens of Alice, we all get one. This is where we try to equal out and balance out.
And that's exactly what we tried to do.
But
We had some residents that would ask for 5 extra containers.
Right. And we just charge
now they're
15.50,
picking up
50.
5 times the amount of garbage
Yeah,
and not paying the same as you who have one.
correct.
You know, when you actually reduce it to cubic yardage, tonnage.
what's the life of one of these? Because I've had mine for 10 years.
10 years.
Okay, I've had mine for 10 years. So essentially, at $56, yeah, it pays for itself through service, through the
That's what I'm
service.
saying.
So, you know, it's we can't go through and try to say, okay, we got to recuperate the money on the container because we're getting the money back in the service. It'd be like trying to get the money back for the truck that's going to pick up the container from everybody that.
Are
every
you
time we go-
referencing the additional container?
Yeah, the additional container, because we're still charging them
Okay.
another $15.50, so they're not getting the same $15.50. They're paying $31 now for 2 containers to be picked up.
Exactly,
And that's for the next duration of them living in the building. So that's where your money comes back, because over 10 years, if they live in a residence for 5 years, and it's 60 months, that means it's less than $1
And so long as it's
a month.
So then you don't pay your people, you don't pay your gas, you don't pay your wear and
But
tear
if
on your
you think-
vehicle, you don't pay.
Yeah, that's the
Because that's what
15.50.
covers the $15.50.
If you think about it though, if you go with that scenario and some people do add the second container and now we're paying the 31 or 50 or whatever.
56. Mhm.
Okay, so, but if we would increase the rate to $1 or $2 to do twice a week and now 16 or 17 versus the 30. Do you understand?
You're actually taking a loss.
The people are paying more in that scenario because they're having to add the second container, the ones that do have to add it. Whereas
But we're
if you
also cutting
increase-
we're cutting our payroll basically in half. Because now we're making one round instead of making two rounds.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
To see
yeah.
if we have to cut the payroll. I don't know if that would eliminate.
Yeah,
that's
not
why-
cut-
Got employees?
Well, we need a cost analysis to
Right,
see
so we need
what,
to put
yeah.
together and
We
price
need
it
a
out.
cost analysis.
Because, yeah, I understand where you're going, increasing the fee for double service,
See,
but you're
I
using
would
it
agree
for
with
Don't
increasing
y'all
the
do
fee.
brush pickup
full
as
payroll.
free?
But
I
if
don't
we do
agree with
if we
that.
reduce it at the same fee, now we're paying less employee time, less employee overhead, less fuel.
Yes.
We're still paying the same amount of landfill, we're still paying the
Yes.
amount of everything else.
Correct.
Yes.
But personnel and maintenance, because the overhead of the use and the exposure of the vehicle and the employee time and everything, now we actually start catching up on brush pickup and other
Correct.
things as well. So,
I'm not proposing an increase in cost, just to entertain the idea of once a week pickup
No.
so that our employees can catch up. Right now, your brush pickup is how many months out per
We're
household?
probably 3.5 months
You
out
see?
right now. We've been as close as 28 working days.
That's right.
And right now, because of the cutting of a person here,
Right.
when you have somebody on vacation right now,
Mm-hmm.
we pull from the brush crew to go take care of this residential garbage pickup.
Mhm.
Garbage needs to be picked up.
Correct.
Brush, well, if we add another day, it's not very convenient to the customer.
No.
Robert,
And there's
how
some
many-
streets that
Take care
have it in
of
the
the
front and it
crucible
looks
first.
terrible. It makes our
Robert,
city.
how many brush trucks do you have?
We currently have 5.
yeah.
We're
So-
doing analysis.
So I think
Yeah,
that
I
would be
think that-
best to come back to the table, but I don't propose an increase in cost.
No.
Just
Just
to
to cut.
investigate what it would take for,
If there'll be an increase in cost, they're gonna say,
No.
you know, they're gonna say, we didn't raise the taxes,
yeah,
and yet we're gonna
Yeah.
pay extra.
but we don't want that. We don't want an increase
You're
in
either raising
cost.
it here or
Uh-huh.
you're raising it there.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and I don't want an increase in
So-
cost at all.
We've tried to maintain a good service for our residents.
Right.
So I think what council's asking now is for y'all to go back and do a cost analysis to work with the finance department and figure out exactly if you reduce the service to the once a week pickup. I technically probably wouldn't even really work on any of the added, or maybe a small percentage of adding, the second ones, just to figure out what the cost would be, the differential there. And then from there we'll go, because basically at that point, anybody that adds a second one is a small gain for us. But, and this is not the end all be all. Just because we make this statement doesn't mean this is
Right,
the direction we're
it's-
going.
It's
But
gonna
it's,
happen.
Exactly.
it's just that we need to evaluate options right now. We did not raise the city's
Taxes.
income
Mhm.
through taxes, so we need to figure out what services we can prioritize and figure out
Right.
if it's even effective. We may end up saying, let's look at it, and then 2 months down the road, we start seeing trash piled up on the side of the road and say, hey,
Right.
this was a very bad decision, we need to revisit
But it's
this."
just
So-
exploring avenues that haven't been explored before, that,
Right.
we're obviously in a period of change, and we obviously don't wanna increase cost of services, and, we didn't increase the
The
tax,
taxes, so then they're gonna say, now they're slapping this on us.
No,
Mhm.
we're, I don't think any of us are proposing
No.
an increase in,
So,
service. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Is there any way you could also get us, just something in reference to how many times we're doing double on one street, or do you have anything like that?
Like a reference
Front
on
and the back?
The front, back.
the areas that we're,
Yeah.
Like how many or
sure
whatever?
we can
that you're
provide.
doing the front and the back, or the alleys?
Right.
That's another analysis that we,
Yeah.
kind of
That would-
presented.
I mean, we have 2 or
that
3
would really
specific
help
areas,
if
but,
we could have some direction from the administration to send a letter to those and tell them, you know what,
Yeah.
there's certain parts of town that we have to do the alley pickup, because our trucks are too big to do the cul-de-sac, so we gotta pick up in the back. But if we have direction from council to send a letter to either
Yes.
put it in the front or in the back.
Let-
And we have one neighborhood where
We tell them what to
there's
do.
only one person
Let our
that has this
department
garbage in the back.
decide what is best for that area.
Right.
So we have one area where you have to run the route basically
3.
twice.
Correct.
Because
Well,
only one person, or one street, because one person does it opposite of everybody else.
We have one house that, We have 600 houses that are in the front and one house is in the alley. We have to go, and it's not even an alley, it's an easement. We have to send a truck from another route to go take care of that one place.
And another
That's
thing,
not
Councilman,
cost-effective.
that we're trying to get out of the alleys is because our infrastructure is so low and our garbage trucks are so heavy that we're certain areas that are trying to get out of the alleys because when the truck's loaded, we'll break a lot of waterways.
Right.
Water, sewer,
Water,
gas.
sewer.
Okay, Robert, remember I've called you before for my problems, you know, and the alley ends right there.
Yes,
So that the people, my neighbors on camera, right?
yes, ma'am.
You've seen it, that just dump it there in the alley. So, see, that's not me, but you need to send letters to those people.
Right.
Brush and everything should be placed in the front.
Normally, the brush should be picked up, normally, is where you put your garbage. Where your garbage picked
Exactly.
up, your brush should be.
In my driveway.
Where-
And there's certain, it's gotta be certain, you know, certain lanes.
And what we're proposing is
Sometimes it doesn't
your
happen.
trash can, where we need it to be to pick up trash in a more expedient manner. Your brush, if you have an alley, you can leave it in the alley, if you have an alley. There are a lot of easements in town where they're not designed for garbage trucks or
Heavy,
brush
heavy,
pickup.
heavy
Correct.
equipment.
And that's, you know, right there, because the alley ends right there in my
Do,
place.
do we
I'll
have,
get with the codes enforcement and see what do we actually have there.
Yeah.
do we have a policy for the elderly or disabled where they put the garbage and you guys pick it up and,
No, we don't have a backdoor service. We don't have the personnel for that.
yeah, no, I understand. There's
It's
just,
it's additional. Basically, garbage pickup is an engineered service. If you want to add that type of service, then we need to add personnel because the route's gonna take longer.
Mhm.
You know,
I'm just
right
trying
now,
to-
we're maxed out. Our hand pickup is at 750 houses per day. The automated services pick up 1,100 average.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to
You know,
stand.
we're at or above industry standards.
So and I think you said this number earlier, how many accounts do you pick up right now?
On
60.
residential,
Yeah.
we have an average 6,000.
Okay, 6,000. And those fall under the same 7,300, so there's like a 1,300 that actually are just an independent water bill. So, okay.
Well, no, they might be businesses.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So we have a
Residential.
dumpster type service.
Yeah, we have.
Our downtown area,
Commercial.
we prefer to use commercial accounts, commercial containers.
Yeah.
One, to decrease the possible loss of those 96-gallon containers
Mhm.
and to keep our men safe. You know, you don't want them on Main Street
Right.
Right.
while traffic's coming up and down, so.
So
we
the
have containers in
1850
alleys
is,
or-
And some of your smaller businesses, we use 2 96-gallon containers instead of
Yes.
using the 3 cubic yard, because they don't produce that much, any cheaper for them, more economical for them.
So we do have a scheduled date for heavy brush and bulk items.
We have a route system. We stay by sections.
Yes, but is it a scheduled date?
Yes.
We don't have a schedule. We cannot remain on schedule because of the way we do things right now.
Most cities have scheduled dates.
Yes, they do, and they fall behind.
And they have the date where individuals, and we explored this, but for some reason it wasn't followed through. You want to have scheduled dates where they set out their brush or their
Exactly.
bulk items, because if not, and then they're charged an additional fee if they do it on non-scheduled dates.
But we do advertise in the paper.
Yes.
We have
We
a
have an
Put it on the
section,
website.
and the website also.
Do we have
We're
that on
gonna
our
be,
website, our
certain days,
schedule?
we're gonna be in this section.
Right.
I just saw one 2 days ago that went out on the website and Facebook.
Yeah.
Our issue is that when we go through an area, 2 days later, you might have that same person.
Well, and,
Without a big old
and
press
that's
conference, we've already
why
gone
we
by.
have to have
And
Yeah, they're usually done the
And
way you
part of
said.
that
policies in place
part of that is part of the three, right? Education and enforcement.
and enforcement, and policies that we do not currently have in place.
So
If
Robert, why-
individuals are doing that, then we need to have some kind of enforcement policy where.
It's a code
Because I
violation.
have,
Code
you know,
violation.
how many of us have passed through certain areas and streets where you see that brush there for months and months and months though? And it's not new brush.
3 months.
3 months. They have a
I
very
have passed
organized route. I saw it in their, it's very, very extremely organized and.
It's just not staffed.
It's just we don't have the manpower hours available and this is why I was proposing this other, so that we can go back, cause it used to be what, once a month brush pickup, right?
Well, we had
Back in the
our
day.
best was 28 working days.
Right,
Now,
and
we've been
so,
as low as 6 months prior to getting
Exactly.
the equipment that we have now.
absolutely.
Uh,
So these are beyond their control when things like that happen. This is why I'm proposing this other to give them
Exactly.
that manpower to go and address, cause I'm with you
City
on
of
that where we
Corpus
see
right now,
these brush
Twice
piles.
a year.
And most cities
Brush
are
pickup.
going
Twice a year.
because of their
And
economic
they publish at the
conditions.
beginning of the year, this is where we're gonna be at, these are your dates,
Mhm.
do not place before this or that.
We
And
do,
we need to be more diligent about doing
Well,
that.
that's
We
a
do-
twice a year thing.
No,
I'd rather
Well,
have
the
it every
major-
back to
once.
once.
major thoroughfares,
Once a year?
twice a month. Do it at the beginning of the month and the middle of the month. That's why if any citizen that goes through the major thoroughfares, Texas Boulevard, 281, 44,
want to keep
all
those.
those are
running.
done twice a month.
Right.
At least we try to keep the major
The
thoroughfares.
appearance.
The
clean.
Correct.
visibility, the
The
appearance.
visibility.
And that's part of their normal route all the time.
Right.
Okay, let's move on. Because Robert and Victor, they're not gonna do the routes them themselves.
That we have to.
But they have to, yeah, tell them.
I was on a piece of equipment at the landfill
You what?
this morning.
You what?
I was on a piece of equipment at the landfill.
We called you away from a backhoe,
That not
our front loader,
Maintainer.
maintainer.
Okay, council, any other questions on personnel?
Wow.
Okay, materials and supplies.
Materials and supplies, we adopted 177,868. We revised it to 180,776. We're requesting 204,550. That's an increase of 26,682. And it looks like the majority of that, 25,000 goes to minor equipment and small tools.
What do we
Those
request?
are containers.
The containers?
The 3 cubic yard, 4 cubic yard, and 96s. We haven't purchased 3s and 4s for approximately 2 years now. We've been repairing, but at some point, we do need to offer some that have a better appearance.
That's-
And your repair and maintenance, because that's not vehicle. So what? Repair and maintenance supplies.
I think those actually are probably parts for
So
their
those are
units
for
because
the
they do
unit.
have bigger, their trucks are bigger.
Our parts are more expensive.
Yes,
We have one of the bigger fleets.
yeah.
So this goes back like to the wiper or what's it?
Yes,
like-
this would be, or,
PTOs,
Yeah, it,
Anything from
hydraulics,
Wiper blades to
tires, yada, yada,
oil
yada.
filters to tires to
Maintenance.
anything else
Yeah,
having to do with
maintenance.
keeping that vehicle on the road.
And those units use a lot of hydraulics and that gets very expensive quick.
Yeah, but that's not on vehicle, it's on repair and maintenance supplies.
well, on this
Yes.
one, and we can split this one out too, that does include both. We'll split this one out too between vehicle and
This is
building.
that other one that's real odd, because it should be vehicle repair and maintenance service.
Which is
To me, that's
5420.
maintenance.
5420
Yeah.
has vehicle repair.
Because here I look at like their building or, what's going on with repair and maintenance supplies.
But that's because you'll have it broken down to 2 different ones, right? Like just the
Yeah.
consumables versus something that adds value to the vehicle. So is that what it is? Is that why one of them's under property services and one of them's under materials?
We had one, it was split out because the way it used to be was, if it was just the part, it was just supplies. So say like, they just bought the parts and garage, did that for them. The parts that garage purchased would get coded to the supplies. Now, if they had to send it out to a different company to repair it, that was a service provided. So that's why it would go under,
Okay.
purchase property
Purchase
service.
property.
So that'd be the actual service.
Yeah.
That'd be going to
when we're paying for a
Chevy
labor
or
Or fleet.
Exactly.
Fleet.
That's
Fleet Pride.
Yeah, Fleet
Yeah.
Pride.
Fleet Pride.
It's
But
not
these are the parts that are installed.
Those are just the ones here.
In-house.
On
In-house.
repair and maintenance is the in-house.
in-house.
But we probably need to separate, so the
It's
vehicles are
different, yeah.
identified, that we,
Vehicles
But
with
at the top
vehicle
also.
maintenance.
Yes.
And repairs though, for buildings and stuff
Yeah.
is under capital outlay, or should be.
Well, only if it's, capital is only if it's something that's going, it's new and it extends the life. If it's just something to keep it going, you don't capitalize it.
So where would you put that if there's gonna be repairs to a building?
An expense.
It's if it's an expense, unless it was something new, like say they put in new carpet or totally new lighting, things like that, we would capitalize.
Repairs
But that would be
going.
5420, I think is what
No.
she's
Does
asking.
that fall
I mean,
in-
5240.
5240?
If they, well, it just depends on each one.
If it's a non-capital item, I think she said. it's
Yeah,
small
if it's just something, yeah, I would hit either the 5420 or the 5240.
Per building.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's electrical repairs and maintenance, and we have to call somebody in to come do it.
That would be
That would
like
fall under
the
the
service.
5420.
5425.
Five.
I guess just my concern is that we need to see the vehicle depreciation.
By itself.
That, you know, to see how much we're actually spending, because, and not that we can afford, but, you know, at one point, maybe, you know, we say, you know what, we're investing so much into these vehicles, let's look
Right.
at, you know, what we can do here,
And we will, we can look at that.
versus putting it with building, you know.
Mhm.
Any other questions, Kenny? It's just because it's a big one, Robert, it's 75,000, so, or 72,000, fuel is 75,000.
What was the increase for? You're going from 70?
On the, what, 52,
Repair and
40?
maintenance.
Yes.
It's an aging fleet, man.
I'm sorry,
It's an aging fleet.
18 fleet?
Aging.
Aging.
The older the equipment, the more that you have to maintain. Average life of a garbage truck is 8 years.
And how old are ours?
We still run 97s.
Oh, congratulations on that.
Wow.
My question goes a little bit deeper, where we've doubled minor equipment and small tools, went from 25 to 50.
Okay, those were the containers that we
Containers.
spoke about.
Okay, I'm
So
sorry,
they-
yeah,
they-
y'all had asked that right away, right? Yeah, sorry.
This is
that
where
will
that
be-
cost is.
That will be a
$56.
separate line item from
Right.
Superior. That's another one where we did, rollouts and dumpsters. So that'll be its own line item next year.
Rollouts are the 96s.
Right.
Robert, the 5220, which is your.
Wearing apparel.
Uh-huh,
On the revised,
okay. Your uniforms.
that's where we get uniforms and
Mhm.
safety supplies.
Talking about raincoats, boots.
Hard hats.
I mean, hard hats, safety glasses. We provide their rubber boots also.
Okay, but not their working boots.
I don't
We
know
didn't
if
do it
we've,
last
You didn't do it last
I
year,
did
right?
put it in revised, I
For
did
this-
not
for
put
this
it in
year.
proposed.
Okay. We took out all boots.
We already did.
We're gonna do it for this year too? Okay.
so we're taking off,
We're taking out the boots?
The rubber or the regular?
The
Didn't you say we took out
You already
all
took out the
boots?
regular for this,
Yeah.
yeah, so
For
that's,
proposed, for
Proposed,
proposed.
right.
Mhm.
But for revised, I did put in for those $100 vouchers.
In other words, what she's saying is they're gonna purchase them this year.
and they'll be good for next year.
They'll be
That'd be
good.
good.
Okay.
So you
Yeah,
did
so we
not
don't need
put
them
it in the
again.
proposed.
Right,
Yes.
perfect, right.
Because last
That's
year
what we've
you
been doing
didn't
on all
have.
of them.
Is that
That's what you
okay?
did on all of
Okay,
them.
is that
Yeah.
okay?
Last year you didn't have the
No.
boots. And this time, you get them.
for this
They'll
year.
get a voucher.
If I may,
They'll
let
get them
me,
before October
Can
1st.
we get an
just
amount
give
that
you
we're
the,
spending on that?
I can
Age
get
of
them
the
out, but I think it was
garbage
only about
trucks.
13,000.
13,000?
on
But
a
I'll-
residential,
I'll-
they're
I'll get an
2006,
exact amount for you, though.
The
average.
But it's
Okay.
so they're
Yeah,
getting
six,
the-
13.
but it's
That's
so
the
they're getting
average
the boots
between
back.
the oldest
The
and
oldest
the-
one being
I have
98
it, but we
and
can
the
take it
newest
out. They
one
have
being
not been
2013.
issued or anything yet.
I want the boots back in.
On your commercial,
For
it's the
this
average
year?
2010, the
Okay.
oldest
I'll-
one being
I'll get it
We have
2005,
to, we have to
and the
revisit
newest
that with an
2016.
amount.
Okay.
Because when we're trying to cut, that's, I mean, everything matters.
On our brush trucks, we're down to 2000, average is 2002
On which ones?
on your brush trucks.
On the brush trucks?
The oldest one being a 1990, and the newest being a 2013.
Yeah, we need to start being proactive. about
Yeah.
that.
Now, on that, the average is an 06, from 98 to whatever. How many units is that for your, the
7 pieces of equipment.
7? For commercial?
No, that's for residential.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Okay, commercial would be
5.
5.
And then your brush trucks, you said you had 5 also, right?
Right.
17 units. How many of them fall in that 8 that are actually within the
The
8
8
years, yeah.
Man,
I mean, and you can get it to us later, but I mean, that's just, it's an idea that we need to be proactive, because you said if the average one is in, we're running all the way back to 98s, and we're keeping those moving, we could lose that unit at any given time.
exactly.
We do have 3 that are still under the capital lease payments, and we had thought maybe, once we pay those off, you can just, get some other ones in the lease purchase payment plan, and it's kind of like, you already have that payment budgeted, and that way, you go and you get a few more new ones, and
As
it's kind of
something
like you're
gets
still
paid
getting
off.
like the same
Yeah, you
payment.
just keep cycling that payment so that
Yeah.
we don't actually ever really see a savings, but we're cycling in new equipment.
Right, we're revisiting on
You see
the
the
capital
savings
leases.
in repairs.
In repairs.
Yeah.
We're revisiting the capital leases and going with what Vanessa said. I think there's one that drops off next year.
Yes.
So next year we'll be able to pick up, we'll be able to start budgeting for the 2019 to repair replace some of the equipment.
And we could essentially use that same fund,
Right.
that amount of money for this newer piece of equipment, and it won't actually hit the budget. Or affect the budget, let me rephrase
Yes,
that.
it won't make it go up.
It won't make it go up for it, but we get a new piece of equipment. Okay.
Any other questions, council? No? On to the next. Other purchase?
Other purchase property. We adopted 47,775.
Well, actually, the purchase property services, we did, the 70,000 is when we send it to Fleet Pride and stuff like that, correct?
We kind of combined them.
Yeah, we kind of hit them at the same time, but I just wanted to ask that, okay. Okay.
And the revised was 51,959, and we're requesting 725. So there's a big decrease on the insurance.
That was me. When we split out solid waste, I'm sorry. It's just because I moved the insurance. We split it out when we pay TML between the different funds based on the buildings and equipment and things like that. So, like general fund has their own general service, utility fund has their own general service. So I created a general service for the utility fund, and that's where I moved that insurance payment to. So that's why you see it. I didn't take it out. I just moved it to like
Where it should be.
like a general service for the
Right.
whole fund kind of
In
thing.
the appropriate department.
Sorry, that does look.
So even though
Scary.
we're showing a $47,000 saving, it's actually
It's
just gonna be
somewhere
another-
else, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, council? Purchase property? Professional technical service?
Yes, we adopted 685, and we're requesting $185 less, $185 less, and it looks like that's in official and administrative services.
Any questions, council? All right, capital outlay?
There's one capital outlay, looks like machinery and equipment, $5,000. There's no change on that, so it looks like we're requesting $5,000 for machinery and equipment.
And that's a just in case fund?
They had asked for a mosquito spraying machine.
Oh, by the way, we kill the mosquitoes also.
Yeah.
Say again?
They kill
We also
mosquitoes.
kill
We have a
mosquitoes.
vector, it's under solid waste vector control.
Is this a new one or
Yes.
additional?
Well, we have 2 that we will purchase in what, 98, 99?
Yes, and then we have that other one that was.
Right.
So
So we're just a little worried about making sure that we have 2 working at all times,
So that's that just in case fund.
just in case. We're not gonna purchase unless we actually need to.
Correct. Okay.
And where are those driving units that spray or?
We place them in the back of our pickups.
Is that one number thing?
Yeah.
Which we need in our area.
Parts.
Okay, any other questions on that,
No.
council? All right, debt service?
Looks like we adopted 54,774. We revised it to 91,633. We're requesting 91,633, and that's an increase of 36,859. Looks like
There was a new one that had just, we had just started paying on, so that's what added to it.
Is that one 2016 commercial vehicle that we
Yes.
talked about?
that was a 7-year lease.
I think they're only like a
5 year?
4 or 5 year. I think so. I'll have to double check.
And we're reviewing these leases, Mr. Ramos?
Yes, I had requested,
I think.
I told Vanessa, yeah, I think you provided to
Mhm.
Mary?
I emailed them.
Yeah, she emailed it to Mary, so I'm gonna sit down and, I've been requesting a lot of information, but I just haven't been able to sit down and go over everything until I finish the budget.
Sir?
When you renew these leases, are you trading in assets or are we retaining assets?
Actually, I do not do the renewals, it's done through the finance department.
But
But he's asking if do you get rid of the old vehicle?
Like, are you
We will-
cycling out a unit and trading it in?
No, we've done some trade-ins in the past, but most of our equipment is auction off.
I'm sorry, it's what?
Auction.
Auction.
Well, I know
So
that,
we keep the equipment, so
No.
it's a lease purchase.
Yes, lease purchase.
The new one, but the old one, they're
Right, right. But
selling it off.
the ones that we're dealing with here on this budget, lease purchase, we have the principal and interest in here. You are gonna do us a cost analysis. This is the best way to go.
Well, it's one of those, whether you take the hit now or you spread it out.
Exactly.
And right now, it's probably better to spread it out and buy.
But let's explore this, because we have a lot of these lease purchase or lease.
I think we actually only just have 3 sanitation, the jet vac, and there was a mower. And those are the only ones that we have. There's like 5 pieces of
I'm
equipment. I
talking in
believe.
general,
Oh,
throughout
okay.
the entire general fund. We
Well,
have a
in
lot
the
of
general-
lease
Oh, you're talking about the copier leases.
copiers.
These are actual
equipment,
leases to keep the equipment.
Capital outlay lease. That kind of thing. And we don't have any type of, in departments where they come up with their capital outlay schedule.
There is a capital improvement plan, and they actually did.
Did that include equipment?
Yes.
Okay, we haven't seen that. Was that approved by prior councils?
No, it was just something that we just started. We met with the departments in April, and they each gave a list of items they needed, and Barbara broke it down between years.
And cost
Yes.
and contingencies in there?
Um,
Will that be brought to council for
I
approval?
think Diana is bringing that
Okay.
to
My
council.
my understanding is that Barbara's trying to look for funding, additional funding, or some of that that won't affect our budget.
Right.
So whether through grants or whatever it may be. That was my understanding, is that
Mhm.
correct?
Okay. Any other questions, council, on debt service? No? Okay. Sanitation, personnel services, again, recycling center. So we go into recycling center. Personnel
Recycling.
services.
Personnel services, we adopted 35,705. We revised that to 36,641, and we're requesting 35,412. That's a decrease of 293. We cut the insurance.
Is this for one employee?
Yes.
And probably we cut the insurance, doesn't sound like a correct statement, it's more the cost was decreased on the insurance, on the renewal, better reduction, there you go.
Good well.
Right.
Any questions, council? Personnel for recycling? This is one person, and their recycling's open how many days a week?
5 days a week.
It is open 5 days a week.
but it's closed at lunchtime.
Yes.
What are the hours, Robert?
8 to 12 and 1 through 5.
So are we still recycling?
Yes.
Where do the profits of that go? The recycling profits?
I'm sorry?
The recycling profits or revenue, or where does?
We are currently not receiving any rebates.
None?
The commodities are at a low. The company that removes the recycling for us is barely breaking even. They're
It's
not
what?
charging us to haul it off though.
Okay, so we have a company, I want to understand recycling, because it's,
It's under contract. We have to ship it somewhere else for it to be sold to somewhere else. So I misspoke. We have a company that does it. The contract has lapsed. We need to look at going back and proposals again.
Let me rephrase my question. What are we recycling?
what are we recycling? We'll take plastics, 1, 2. We'll take cardboard, paper. We even take aluminum cans. Those do not go to the company. Those we send off locally when we have enough, because we can wait for a better price. We don't have to sell it when it's full. We'll store it until we can get a good price for it.
Metal,
Metal.
Scrap.
scrap, yeah. Old
Those
water
things
heaters.
that are pulled at the
At the lake.
landfill. We have a box out there through our local company. We put it in there. They pay us for that.
So what do we give away to this company? Because really they're saying give it to
Well,
them.
the giveaway is not actually a giveaway, because we're still saving landfill space. And we don't have to truck it anywhere. They're picking it up for us for free.
But we pay an employee.
Yes,
We have a
correct.
fund for it,
Right.
so.
But
What exactly are they picking up?
They do,
what is
What are
being
they
hauled
picking up?
off by this third-party company?
Plastics, paper, cardboard,
Everything except aluminum?
everything except aluminum.
And scrap.
And metal.
And
scrap. Yeah, I was gonna say scrap's worth something somewhere, pretty much all the time, so.
Have
And
we
then-
ever explored the possibility that maybe we could send these off, like whatever that company's doing? Because they're obviously getting some revenue from them.
Well,
Taking our
that's the
stuff.
thing, that they sell it somewhere else
Correct.
when they're able to sell.
So we can't do that?
It would be cost prohibitive. It would cost us more to ship it than we would get back.
Ships.
We're
Which
in the
we-
middle of shipping points.
Where's the revenue on this one? Is there a revenue breakdown on this? Because I'm just wondering if there's an offset for this one, because we do sell some scrap and we do sell some
We do
aluminum,
have.
very minimal.
He
but-
does bring in some money, and there is a separate checking account. They're called the Community Betterment Trust accounts, and there's one that's a recycling fund. And when he does sell scrap metal from the recycling center, we do put that money in there, and it actually does pay for the electricity for the recycling center. It has a little bit of money. I don't know off the top of my head, but we do pay some. Well, I know we pay the electricity for the recycling center out of that account.
So it funds a little bit.
Yes.
It funds a little bit.
We won't profit from it. The offset is, it's environmentally friendly. It's
And
the
it doesn't
correct thing
It's
filter.
to do.
another service that we're offering to
It's
our-
a service, it's really.
not just our citizens, but
It's around-
Closed on
it's
Saturday.
around-
Is there any way we could readjust schedules so that they're open on Saturday? Like close Monday?
We chose Saturday to close only because that was the slowest day. We were getting like 4 customers a day.
Really? And during the week, like on Monday, it's busy or what?
It's busy on Monday.
Probably because we're closed on Saturdays.
Wednesdays was off somewhat, but that just depends on the time of the year. School's about to start. The school district is one of our biggest recyclers, so, we choose to stay open to take in as much as we can.
Because a lot of people work all week and Saturdays when they clean up or they'd be able to take and deliver.
Well, I've been
and-
checking around, other cities are doing, maybe opening one Saturday a month for 4 hours.
Mhm.
And that's why we put a little money in there for the overtime.
Well, how
Possibly,
about-
and
what if we
it's
just
not a
close the day
decision
of the
that we
week
make.
instead
Just
of-
flex the schedule.
Yeah, I can't see the recycling center being that bombarded with business.
And the other thing that kind of gets me is you're closed during lunch. I've actually been asked by
A lot of.
3 people in the last, month, and that's not a lot of people, but it's enough to say, hey, why are y'all closed at lunch? That's when I try to take
We
it.
closed the gate
Uh-huh.
because we were getting a lot of trash.
Mm-hmm.
People will bring the trash bags and leave them on the dock.
Trash.
Trash. Residuals. There was a time that we did not have gates out there.
Mhm.
And we would send the brush crews out every Monday to clean up the trash that was left there. Not recyclables, trash. They feel that the recycle center is like a transfer
Drop
station.
off or something.
You can't have a transfer station, you can't have a collection station without a permit from TCEQ.
Mhm.
We are not permitted to accept trash at the recycle center,
Nor do we want that, I don't think.
nor do we
We
want
don't
that,
want to
correct?
correct it, no.
I would like to see Saturdays being an option because I do have a lot
We
of
can look
people.
into it and maybe flex some hours or.
Because I would like for Alice to clean up, we used to do Operation Brightside and so that would be a Saturday thing when we could, you know, take and recycle.
At least till noon,
Yep.
at the very least till noon.
I'm sorry?
At least till noon at the very least, you know, till 12.
Well, I'm sure we can cut a day of the week.
Right.
You know, perhaps, you know, I don't know, that's where you would
Right.
see what would be feasible.
Well, okay.
I don't wanna see overtime for it, so see, here we have overtime.
That was one of the reasons we,
To maybe add a Saturday without changing the schedule, so I'd like to see.
The
I mean,
schedule
it is
change.
250, but if you change the schedule, we can alleviate that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
250 is 250. So just evaluate that and just come back. Again, we're giving you a good list of things to evaluate through this department, so thank you.
We've gone through most of them.
Yes, yes, oh yeah. So,
So you said that contract's almost up, the contract that we have?
It has lapsed.
It already has.
We would like to.
What is the company that we have this contract
We're
with?
currently using Republic.
Republic. Okay. Out of Corpus, correct?
Mhm.
is
Yeah.
that-
Out of Corpus?
Yes.
Yep. Okay.
And I check every 2 or 3 months to see what the outlook is for recyclables.
Most cities are doing away with recycling.
They're doing away with?
Yeah, it's.
corporate,
it's-
corporate
As
stores.
private,
that
they moved some, you got some private parties doing it, but.
Privatizing. It just doesn't,
Kingsville is thinking of closing their center. Total.
Who is?
Kingsville.
Kingsville.
I mean, back in the days, the 3 Rs, reduce, reuse, recycle was very important. But that's when the COG had some big solid waste grant funding. That's, when we were able to make the improvements, recycling center, we got the containers, the roll-offs. What's happening with the little building, the recycling
The
education
education
center?
center.
Nothing.
It's closed.
We're really,
Closed.
our
for business.
department is really in charge of the employee. Community development is really in charge of,
That's right, it was under community.
and it still is.
It still is.
We're really just in charge of the employee.
Of the employee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Recycling really falls under community development. And it's been like that for years.
For years, yes, you're right. Thank you, Victor.
So, just to clarify, we're keeping our cans and our scrap metal, right? Both?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And we sell it.
And then you'll sell it, yes, perfect. Okay. Any other questions, council? Communications would be the next. What's that, the phone out? Is there a phone out there?
I believe there is there a phone up?
Landline or something?
I think it is a landline.
It is a landline.
It's just a telephone.
Yeah, okay. Any other questions, council?
Phone number.
Okay. Do we move on to landfill disposal?
Landfill.
556, next page.
We have 1 skill house clerk, 3 equipment operator number 3s, and 3 maintenance workers, for a total of 7 employees in the landfill disposal.
Has this changed in recent years?
No.
So it's been pretty stagnant at 7?
Pretty static, yes.
Council, any questions?
On overtime, we've had no changes in staff, but we've increased in overtime. Is
On
that-
overtime,
Mhm. What was that?
we've requested a little extra because when you're working on flex time, something is always falling by the wayside. You know, we don't just take trash and bury it. We're also in charge of, or we have to, take care of our fence lines. We have to keep the grounds clean. We're required to pick up paper along the roadways and entrances for 2 miles around. We just have so much to do out there that when you let somebody go for those 4 hours that they worked on Saturday, something else is not getting done.
And we're open 6 days a week also.
And we are open 6 days a week.
And some of it is for vacation and sick leave, some of the employees that take off.
We don't utilize community services volunteers for that.
I'm sorry?
We don't use any community services volunteers?
We utilize the Gloss burner unit.
Yes,
Did we just do it one time?
Utilize the glass burning unit and
It's a little hard to do that because the landfill's a little different, because a lot of time we require employees to have the metal on their boots because of nails and all kinds of, it's a lot more hazardous being at the landfill, it's community services, and having them at the recycle center or at the golf course or at the water plant. And there's a lot of heavy equipment traffic and big trucks and stuff like that.
We had a lot of exposure by putting people out there with broken glass, like you said, and that all sharp. And that's all, we're just rolling it the whole time, so.
not to mention the snakes, bees, spiders.
There's a lot of activity out
We're
there.
out the woods.
More than people think.
And we don't get a lot of volunteers either.
The schedule on that, so that we can just put it out there
On the landfill?
on the landfill, 6 days a week,
6 days a week.
6 days a week,
timing?
8 to 5, but we stop collecting waste at 4:30 to allow us to cover. And on Saturdays, it is 8 to 12, half an hour before we stop collecting waste. And that again, so we can do our daily needs and to keep the overtime down.
And you've mentioned this before, but the fees for that are what?
$46 a ton from inside the city limits. And that's mostly for your construction materials.
Construction.
As a resident, you have a free load per week plus all day free on Saturday for brush, your old furniture, things of that nature, regular solid waste.
And that's free.
Yes, ma'am. With your water bill, you need to bring your water bill proving that you live at this residence.
And no
No construction, no
construction
demolition.
debris.
Tires are charged a fee, $2, $3, and $5 depending on the size. Outside the city limits, it's a $70 fee per ton.
And I guess about 3 or 4 years, there was a engineering company that came in and did the study of how much would you be charging, how much trash was coming in, and what we could. And the study came out with these fees. We didn't make up these fees
It's-
to break even with the collection.
At 46 is a break-even number.
Do we have any historical data to show whether or not our revenue there is actually increasing or declining? I understand from some of the citizens that they're going to Kingsville where it's cheaper. They're contractors.
I can give you the number for Kingsville too.
Yeah, we had talked about that.
I
I think
believe
it is
it is
cheaper,
35,
but
but I mean-
it's 30.
That's why I want to see the historical data. It's something we need to address. I think, Robert, you said you were looking at that last time I brought this up.
Now, another thing to remember too is this study was probably done, 2 to 3 years ago? So right at the peak, right as the decline started. So we were still having some construction and stuff going on, so there's some points there that kind of tapered off, I think, that might have hit this.
Well, the other thing to look at is if you were to do a study today, that number is low.
Right.
Yes.
Because you still have the same amount of personnel and equipment in operation, the same duties that you have to accomplish, but not the revenue that's coming in to offset that number.
Well, and that's where I was going with that, is that you can
That's-
charge less when you get more.
But that's why I'm asking
You
for
spread that.
historical data, so that you can do some comparisons. Are we losing revenue? And I'm sure there's some mitigating circumstances due to the economy, but again, my concerns are that we are losing customers to Kingsville.
Due to cost?
I say 7,
I just want to see
40,
a comparison
5 maybe.
of the data.
I thought it
I
was
want to say you said it was
pretty-
45. You presented
46.
I mean, is it
46.
significant? Is it a significant
46.
decrease?
So we're 46 and they're 46?
No, we're 70, they're 46. So it's $24.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, but to haul your trash to Kingsville and back costs money too.
Yeah, but,
But they also charge for outside the city.
Yeah.
but apparently apparently they're doing it, so
And historically, if I recall,
I'm not gonna second guess why they think
the
it's.
city and the city administration has
Yes.
wanted to maintain services for the citizens of Alice. So if we're bringing in trash from outside the city limits, from the county, say, or from another city, we don't actually want to provide that service for free. We want to make sure that we provide for the people that live inside our city limits.
Prioritize.
Prioritize.
Again, these are contractors, whether they're local, they are leaving.
Right, but so long as they're working within the city limits, then they're paying the $46.
If they're working at
We've had contractors that come all the way from Laredo because it's a lot cheaper down here.
Laredo is $200 a ton.
I remember you saying that one too.
They could be working here.
And we have also,
McAllen
weren't
contractors could be working here.
weren't they doing that also because these outside companies were filling the landfill
Correct.
really,
It's
really
one of those
quickly, so
things,
we're
you put
having
too
to
much trash
build.
in, then you
We
end
need
up,
the
you know,
integrity of the
it's
cell too. Do we
less
have
trash,
those
you know.
numbers? Not given away.
I don't
If-
have those numbers
If you fill
on
in the
me.
spaces that we have now, we have 10 years of life left.
Right,
We haven't purchased property to build a new landfill.
correct.
From the date of purchase to the day that you can actually put trash in a landfill, they're estimating roughly it takes 10 years. So we're at a critical point where we don't want to take additional trash. We want to maintain what we have. We
I'm
can't
not
go
trying
out
to
and
open
buy-
the door
Right.
Yeah.
at a minimal price
This is
because
not where
then
we
we
wanna
don't.
go.
But we don't want to
reach-
send our local contractors somewhere else.
But if they're working in town, they pay in-town prices.
I'm
Correct,
saying local contractors still think it's,
which is only $9 more than Kingsville.
again, I want to
So
see the
you're
historical
driving-
data.
An hour?
Yeah.
Let's see what's the significant increase or decrease. I mean, I would think council would want to know if we're actually losing money.
We have the 2 cells now, right? How many cells do we have out of that?
We have 3 left.
We have 3 left. And then wasn't there a movement where we were trying to make one giant cell?
The D-cell? Where are we at with that? The D-cell?
That's probably something that we need to discuss
Yeah.
at our next meeting.
I think Vanessa was reminding me that we don't have to open it as soon now that we've lost some of the bigger customers, so it's not as urgent as it was at one time. I think we predicted maybe 2000.
I'm not sure, I'd have to ask Rudy, but I know they were gonna start on F already, but
Right, we have the designs already made, but the construction portion we're holding off on. We'll probably take another look at that in October, see where we're at and when we need to do it.
The sense of urgency is not like it used to be.
Right.
Because we've lost
Yes,
customers.
because we've lost
Because the amount
some.
of intake is
Population.
reduced.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
Any other questions, council? Personnel? No? Okay, materials and supplies?
Materials and supplies, we adopted 49,050. We revised it to 55,966, and we're requesting 54,750 for an increase of 5,700. Looks like most of that is operating supplies, 3,650. Another small portion for fuel, 2,000.
Any questions, council? No?
The double in operating supplies is, that's, again, like the gloves.
let me
things.
check, I asked her to.
Is it doubled?
Except for the tarps on
You probably get the landfill tickets from there, right?
Landfill tickets, it says,
I can always remember like 1 or 2 off the top of my head, but no. I
Or
know
like the
they-
receipts?
They ordered those
Got it.
landfill tickets that they give out and,
these might actually be coded incorrectly because it's like an alloy chain, rake leaf steel,
Maybe just
meals
some
are in
tools.
there. Gatorade, it might be some of the stuff might be missed.
Some of this stuff might move up to catering later on, but.
Yeah.
It's postage.
Yeah.
And then cylinder rentals are on there.
Say again?
Cylinder rentals are in there, landfill tickets.
it's from AOC or what is it now?
Oh,
That's from
yes,
Praxair. That's a garbage, that's a garage.
So tickets should probably be moved into the printing.
Yeah, that'll go to the forms, yeah.
All of that'll move, split.
Robert.
Victor,
May I excuse?
Mr. Science.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Council, any other questions on materials and supplies? Okay, purchase property services?
Purchase properties, we adopted 70,510. We revised it to 133,635. we're requesting 170,100. That's an increase of 99,590. And it's going to building repair and maintenance service.
Talk to
Can you
us.
talk to us about it?
We are undergoing an environmental audit.
Oh, that's right.
The environmental audit is in place of a TCQ investigation. We're trying to find everything that we need to and make those corrections. I talked to Vanessa yesterday and
Yes,
she'll break it out as we need to.
yes, the 76,000, that included about, actually 75,000 just for the grinding of the brush. I tried to split it up. So, and then next year, I just put 100,000. I thought, he had given me estimates. I didn't know exactly what needed to be done, so I just figured it was probably services that needed. So I put it there, but it may move to different line items. But the cost was around
Yes.
175.
And it'll be broken down to where it needs to go.
Okay, that was about to be my question. So the total cost of the result of this audit is about $175,000 worth of work.
Right.
75 of which we've already done.
Well, I think
Oh,
they're
we're about
starting
to-
Or
it, yes.
we're gonna get, I'm sorry, it's gonna be completed before October 1st.
Yes.
Right.
And then the other $100,000,
Or for any carryover.
but it could switch, it'll be shifting around. So this isn't something like, hey, we think this is gonna happen, we
No,
know this is gonna
I just
happen.
wasn't sure what exactly it
So,
entailed.
are these mandated
Yes.
repairs
think
as a
so, that
result
he'll-
of the TCEQ findings?
No, ma'am. We're doing an environmental audit in
So you're
lieu
doing
of,
an audit.
in lieu of a TCEQ investigation. So that we can find and correct what we need to before TCEQ has to come in and tell us we're doing something wrong. So that we're having an additional pair of eyes look at
Proactive.
us and say,
So-
hey,
It was an independent audit,
Right.
the way I understood it.
So
Independent
should
audit,
this
so.
be- Is this coded correctly? Is this
Well,
a
I know the
professional
brush
audit?
grinding, no, the
This is the
audit
service
was
that we're
somewhere
gonna do.
else.
Service
Yeah,
you
this,
have to do
these
for
are the items that they're going to have to, do
findings.
in order
Anticipate working
These
to.
are the findings of that independent audit.
And some of the findings incorporated repairs and
Right, that's
maintenance
what
that
I'm
they had to do.
It's, these repairs are based on an independent
I
audit's
think we need
finding.
to do at the landfill that,
To
that
get
need
us,
to get done
keep us
this
out of
year.
trouble when
To
TCEQ
be in
shows up.
compliance with
Correct.
TCEQ.
Gate repair, fence repair.
Yes.
And believe it or not, grinding of the brush is very, very expensive.
Yes.
Was this approved by prior council?
Sure.
Council
expense?
approved the audit,
Expenditure?
well, they approved the audit to see what needed to be done. So, when we found out, we put it in, it was just like last week or right before I gave y'all the budget. So, I made sure to put it in there so it wasn't something that later on would have to come as an amendment because we know it needs to be done so that we're not in
And
compliance.
this is one from previous council that would have been just a CM judgment.
Yes.
This needs to be done, so we have to add it to the adjusted budget. This isn't one that had to be presented to council because it's not,
Council approves expenditures.
Well,
My question was, did the previous council approve this independent audit and what did it cost?
I believe Rudy did take it to council,
Yes.
didn't he?
the audit.
Yes,
Not
the audit.
Not the
Yes.
results, not the
Well, I think they
175
just
results.
got,
I'm
So,
talking
so
about
we're
the audit.
bringing you the results.
yes, they just got the results.
Okay, I'm asking about the audit.
Also approved it.
I didn't take it to, I believe Rudy, I believe Rudy did take it to council.
We would have to verify, confirm if it was and when it
I
was.
thought this was gonna be on the agenda for our next meeting.
What, the results? The
Yeah,
results
those
of-
are the, she's asking about the initial.
About the initial
The
request
initial
for the
audit.
audit.
Right.
And then I would like to see that audit
Correct.
because we are putting expenditures of 100,000 in here based on the findings of that independent audit. I just want to be sure that we're all on the same page.
Yes.
Any other questions, council? Cleaning service, can you tell me what that is? What do y'all clean? Or what has to be cleaned?
That's probably Bright Star again.
No, ma'am.
No, it's not?
No,
Oh.
Tire disposal.
Oh,
Yeah,
tire disposal, sorry.
That would be in
We don't
the
actually
line
take
item.
tires at the landfill.
Right, you
We'll
have to-
receive them from our customer,
And then they
pass them
take
through
them.
to companies that will remove them for a fee.
Okay.
That was also something we used
Did
to
we
get
zero that
grants
out?
for, but COG hasn't
We-
had that.
That was my question, yeah.
Is it
Mr.
zero
The
Yes.
COG used to have
We-
grants for
we
that
don't
and they
zero
had it.
out,
No?
because we also take our own city tires. Tires come off the garbage trucks, police cars, things of that.
But I mean, I guess I should say, in regards to non-city tires, if I
Right.
was to bring one in as a private citizen, and you charge me the $1, $2, or $3 charge, is that the same charge
It's
that we're being?
It's very close, it's very close.
We need to look at
Close,
that.
but that's one of those things, Councilman, that if you charge too much for a tire to take
They
it
end
to
up in
landfill,
somebody's
They'll throw them
road.
somewhere on the
then
side.
we'll end up picking it up
On the side of the
So
road.
we have
side of the road
this
and taking it.
Well, I'm not trying to say to increase the rate, I'm just trying to get as close to possible
Right.
as
We
as
try to get as
zero.
close as possible, but we gotta be careful that we don't charge too much.
Mhm.
If not, we'll end up picking them for free.
And costing us to
Tax
not
rate.
only pick it up, but dispose of it.
Gotcha.
So this is under cleaning service?
It's gonna be a new line item for the
Is
new
that
fiscal
just
year.
tire
because it's-
recycling or
that-
something?
That title is a little
Yes.
misleading, so yeah, there will be a tire
Tire
disposal
recycling or tire,
expense,
the
yes.
Tire
tire
disposal.
disposal.
5461, I think.
It'll
yeah.
be
Expense.
Okay, any other questions, council, on purchase property services?
5461
No? Okay, other purchase property?
Other purchase property, decrease of 2,400, looks like it's communications.
I think that was Jim canceling some phone lines and he kind of, went through a lot of the different accounts and he was canceling what he could.
Very good. Any questions, council? No? Okay, on to professional and technical service.
Yeah, we adopted 162,924. We revised that to 205,705, and we're requesting 173,360. It looks like there was a decrease in engineering services of 20,000 and a increase of technical service of 30,000. So it kind of offsets, but there's an increase of 10,000 total.
Can we start with other professional?
Is that TCEQ?
That's TCEQ along with that AARC, the monitoring.
The TCQ are fees that we pay based on the amount of trash we take out.
And every load is weighed as it goes in.
Yes, sir.
And the vehicle is weighed as it goes out to get the differential.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
My question is now, is that auditing services, that was that single audited? So that audit, so essentially that audit ended up costing us about 230 bucks, 230,000 because the results of it was 175. So,
Yes.
but it keeps us out of trouble with TCU.
Well,
Compliance,
you know,
compliance.
Compliance.
We want to,
Yeah, we want to stay there.
Right.
And when was the last time something like that was performed?
never had one.
Never had one.
But if we know what the rules and regulations are, and we should be on top of that, why would we require an audit?
Funding?
Funding?
Yes.
So, in order to receive funding from where? From
From
TCU?
council.
To
So-
put it out there that you need the money because these are results that are there.
So you're not, without an audit, you're not able to tell whether or not you're in compliance with TCEQ regulations?
Yes,
I
sir.
guess this is something that's gonna have to be discussed in
Okay.
executive session.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, thank you, I'm so.
Okay. Technical service, which one's this one? What is this thing?
I know.
This one. I'm gonna ask every time, I'm
I
sorry.
know.
Yeah,
it's
I
different
kinda
in
have
each
them all.
department.
Let me,
This is what it
Technical service at the landfill is mostly our methane monitoring,
Okay.
groundwater monitoring.
Okay, sorry.
There are semi-annual reports for groundwater monitoring, and certain wells require additional, depending on whatever comes up on the analyticals.
And was that shifted from engineering or was it just a reduction? Or a reduction for one and an increase for another, or was it actually shifted from one to the other?
We actually have 2 additional wells now.
Okay.
We are able to plug one well just based on how our site development plan is outlined. But like I said, we just got the 2 new wells and they had to have additional monitoring to act as a background. So it just required additional
Okay.
for probably the next year, 2 years. Once we get that cleared up, then that number will move back to where it should be.
Any other questions, council?
Don't ask him more.
Capital outlay?
This was a gas vent trench that was needed at the landfill.
Okay.
That is also part of the,
It's part of our site development plan. I think that it's a remediation plan to not allow methane gas off-site. I think we've been putting a hold on this for 3 years now. It needs to be done.
So we plan on, it's falling into this year's budget, as opposed to next year's. We plan on having it completed before October?
We need to get with engineering on that, so
Rudy was handling it.
Is
it may
it's in
need to be
progress,
transferred
yes?
over, I'm not sure.
We had let him know, I think he
Yes.
needed to go out for the,
Proposed.
RFPs.
Yes.
Well, if it's gonna go out for RFPs, I doubt it.
It's not gonna fall
It's
into
not
this
gonna
year. See,
happen.
that's,
Yeah, so
that's why
that needs to,
that's gonna reduce this year's, but it's gonna increase next year's.
The plans are already made. It's
That's what I was gonna say,
I think you just gotta go out for
the actual construction portion.
For the construction of the.
We'll have to, you know, if receive the bids and then take it to council before September 30th.
the thing is though, the work has to be completed before September 30th.
We have to write the check
books.
before the 30th.
that's my concern.
Yeah, so I
Is
feel
it
like
small?
this is.
We'll have to get with engineering
Yeah.
on that, on whether it needs to be here or
Next
Yeah,
year.
that needs to be
Well,
revisited,
take
because
the
that could
council.
increase.
Well, and
Increase
we
that.
had, we had stopped, or we had planned on it since the summer, so we'll just see what the delay has been.
We'll look at where Rudy stands
Is
with
on it.
Because that'll change dramatically,
Yes.
150,000. Okay. Any other questions, council, for landfill? No? Okay, we're at. Do y'all want to quickly go through solid waste general services?
That one's me.
Thank you. So we can just get that done?
The the only real items are, you know what, check with technical services is on that one, I don't even remember. Bank charges is, it's just when people come and pay their bills, yes. So it's mainly like the credit card fees, and it gets split between here and utility fund and general fund. The insurance, this is where you see where I moved it from sanitation to a general service for the solid waste fund.
Technical services is kind of for Acela, it's the web payment.
Oh, the web payments, when people pay their bills online, since it does include garbage, I split it between general fund, solid waste, and utility fund, so that's just their portion.
So
And
it's like
that's
the
that-
credit card, it's like the merchant fees, but it's just like
Right.
It's-
PayPal or whoever it
Well,
is.
it's so they can pay online.
Okay.
Okay.
Any questions, council?
And we did mention that we kind of want to shop these out because this is a
Yes.
huge
It
chunk
is.
of change,
It is.
and we're not a small account, by no means. So
I'm working on that already.
Yes.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. You gonna go over interfund transfers?
That one's probably us also. Solid waste does transfer some money to the general fund, and that is also like the utility fund for the administration portion. We were transferring to the landfill development fund. As you'll see, we adopted 150,000. We did lower it to 75,000 for revised, and that was to help cover the costs for the audit and the gas vent trench. We didn't put in a transfer for next year. On the landfill post-closure, we had adopted 355,873. We did revise it to 177,936. That was also to help pay for the gas vent trench. We did put in a transfer though for next year for 100,000. And then I did not put in a transfer for the benefits trust fund, just because, like I said the last time, it will be with the salaries.
I was gonna ask about that post-closure because we had said that we had a healthy fund already and reducing the amount, that's good. From 355, I know we had did the budget adjustment in January.
I think so.
I guess when that was presented to reduce, and I wanted to make sure that that carried over because if it's healthy, let's leave some money over here and we'll worry about that since it's actually slowed down now with the consumption.
We have received a question on whether we're going to go into closure on phase 1 of the landfill.
Phase 1?
Yes. That's a 15-acre site. Basically, as part of the amendment that we're proposing, we may not have to do that, but post-closure is coming up. Closure and post-closure.
What cell is that?
That's actually phase 1. As you come into the landfill, immediately north,
Okay.
between the, yeah.
Right there.
Okay. Any other questions, council, for Mr. Robert or Mr. Victor at this time? We're gonna choose to recess for lunch, is that what council wants to do? Okay, for an hour, and then we'll reconvene at 1 o'clock. Thank you, Victor and Robert, very much.
We still have streets.
We do have streets.
They'll be back.
Okay.
Okay.